Let me fix my hat. Is my hat fixed?
Yeah,
Yeah,
your head is fixed.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
rain hat. All weather. We ready. Number 7.
Number 7, how's it going, guys? This is another episode of Crash and Chug. We have another guest on today, Dr. Guerrero. He is, yep, let's put some applause in.
Welcome to the show.
Thank
First of
you.
all,
Thank you.
first of all, thank you for joining us. Like I said, we were talking about earlier. I know we've been talking about doing this for a while, and it's kind of like a follow up to the video that I put out with the acupuncture, as well as just the holistic healing, something I believe in, and that's kind of how we met through my wife Sandy, and going to your clinic and getting seen by you, especially with all the injuries I've had with mountain biking. And I feel that they've helped me substantially, at least recover a lot quicker than I normally would. And but before we get started, get too far into how I feel about it and what have you, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in Eastern medicine, as well as like your personal experience, as much as you want to share of how you kind of got into that. And I know you do some martial arts, so that's kind of a little, carrot for everybody listening, you know.
Leave it
But
out
yeah,
there.
so we're gonna turn it over to you, and we'll kind of just chime in and ask questions. We're just like two curious guys, trying to get some different perspective and information from you.
Okay. Well, um, I, I have always been interested on martial arts, and on a roundabout way, I got into Chinese medicine because of the martial arts. I joined Kuk Soo Wan back in 1994, and I started training.
And
And
Kuk Soon is Korean, correct?
it's Korean. It's Korean martial arts,
Okay.
similar to Aikido, Musul Wan. There is another one, Kido. They're all the same. They're like they're coming from the same lineage.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, so I started doing martial arts, and my master in Jiu-Jitsu, he was a acupuncturist and a martial artist. And they used to tell a story about him falling out off of a helicopter and breaking his back, and they told him that he wasn't going to be able to walk anymore, and blah blah blah. And
What was he doing in a helicopter?
he
Was he
was he was one of the rocks. I think that's what they called it.
Oh, Rock F.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Uh,
That for some of you that don't know, Rock F is Republic of Korean. Could be Air Force, Army, or what have you. So sorry.
yeah.
Go ahead.
So he fell down. He broke his back, and he was pretty bad. And through meditation and martial arts and acupuncture, he recuperated. Uh, and he was a little bitty guy that he used to kick my ass all the time.
Hey, we all need our ass kicked every once in a while.
That's right.
Yeah. And you kept going back. Clearly, you kept going back because he was good at kicking your ass.
I kept going back. So it was already 1998, and I was going to test for my first black belt. And they told me that I was going to have to hold the horse stance for 15 minutes.
1-5 or 5-0?
1-5.
1-5. Okay.
1-5. And if you've ever done that, held a horse stand for a while, it's pretty challenging.
It is.
And I figured I needed more training, so I went to the gym. At that time here in San Antonio, it was International Fitness. It doesn't exist anymore now, as the Gold Gyms took over. And I went and I used to bodybuild too, so I had pretty good strength. So I loaded up weight, put it on my back, got on a squat stance, on a horse stance, and I was probably holding it for about a minute. And there was a guy training right next to me, one of those old guys that he was doing the exercise wrong, getting up and doing his lat pulls like this. And
I see some guys in the gym that look like they're doing like a ninja warrior training. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing over there, but I hear you. I see what you're saying.
something like that. And then the gym was pretty old, and the cord broke, the cable broke, So he's doing this, and he slams the barbell against his head, and he falls down and cracks his head open. A lot of noise, and I'm holding the weight on my back. I hear the noise, and I turn.
Oh, yeah.
And my back goes crack. So I drop the weight, but the guy, he's bleeding, and I'm not bleeding, so they go up to him. They leave me alone. So I left. I left the gym, but I couldn't stand straight. I left bent over. And for the next 3 or 4 months, I couldn't sleep laying down. I felt like I had a ball on my back.
Oh.
And I went to the doctor and he said, well, you have a pull muscle, blah, blah, blah. He gave me some muscle relaxants. But 3 months later, I still wasn't able to sleep laying down. I had to sleep on a couch with pillows around me and sleeping like this. And if you ever had to sleep sitting down for a while, you know that you desire to lay down. You desire to lay down so bad.
Right.
Anyway, so I have been missing my training. It's like 4 months, and Master Su calls me and he goes, "Where are you?" And I told him the story, what happened. And
where are you? I need to kick your ass again.
Yeah. So he said, "Go and have acupuncture." You know, and when the master says, "Go and have acupuncture," well, I didn't know what acupuncture was. I knew that he did acupuncture. I knew that, you know, once in a while, whenever he grabbed you, you were really sorry that he grabbed you because he made everything hurt extra. And
what were your thoughts when he told you that? Like,
well,
you're crazy, or
what is this going to do? I mean, how much money I have spent with the doctor, and they're not doing anything, and I'm not getting any better. And the doctor had already mentioned that maybe I need to have an MRI because probably I had a disc that was herniated or busted, and I had to have more, maybe surgery. And that also moved me in the direction whenever he master said, "Go and have acupuncture." That's I guess so. When your master tells you to go and have acupuncture, you go and have acupuncture.
That's right.
I told him I didn't know where to go, and he gave me the name and address of a guy that is over here on West Avenue in Blanco. And he sent me over, and I had acupuncture. It was pretty traumatic because the guy is very traditional.
Mm-hmm.
So they take my clothes off and lay me on a table, and they ended up putting like 47 needles on my back. An hour later, he comes, he takes the needles off, turns me around, he puts needles in my front. I don't know why he put needles in my front, but he put needles in my front. And after 2 hours, he tells me, "Okay, you're ready. You're gonna have to come another 3 times." So I get up from the table, and when I got there, I was bent over. When I got off the table, I was straight. I was still sore. I was not completely sore, but I could stand straight. And that impressed me. And he said, "Oh, you have to come another 3 times." So I went another 3 times. And my pain went away. I never went for an MRI. I didn't go back to the doctor. I didn't want to know. I'm your typical Mexican. If I don't go and check it out, it doesn't happen. So that's why we don't go to doctors.
Right.
So, but it got my interest going. What is on the needles? Why this guy in a couple of weeks took care of my back when the doctor couldn't do anything for my back? And I started looking around. I looked around, and I couldn't find really anything. Here in town, you have to remember this is 1998. The computers weren't what they are right now.
Right.
So I ended up finding a book on ear acupuncture. I purchased the book for ear acupuncture. I tried it. I tried a few things, and I started doing it on my relatives, on my wife, on my kids, and
the guinea pigs.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask. So you didn't start on yourself? You just started on other people?
No, I got to start on somebody else.
Smart man.
Yeah. Around the same time, Master Su left to Korea, and he left me and another 3 black belts in Church of the Dojang, and he kind of went like, whenever you train somebody, I don't want anybody living here with pain. They're not supposed to live here with any injury, no pain. So I'm going to show you how to do some acupressure. So if the leg hurts, you press here. If the foot hurts, you press here. If the arm hurts, you press here. The back hurts. So he gave us
Right.
like first aid.
So for some of the people, I'm sorry to cut you off, but for some of the people who are listening, they don't know what acupuncture and acupressure is. The difference is acupressure is just putting pressure on the pressure points with your fingers or some other object, I would imagine. And then the acupuncture is actually the needles, right, in the pressure points where it doesn't really go beneath the skin so much. But I'm just trying to give a visual for people. Sorry, go ahead, continue.
If you do acupressure right, actually I prefer the needles because acupressure hurts a lot more than acupuncture.
Right.
I can see that.
So I ended up practicing on people here and there, and I couldn't find any place to go and study. Finally, I found a guy that he was doing ear treatments for weight loss. And he tells me, I go and visit him, and he goes, I can teach you everything you need to know. The only thing that you need to do is you need to get a white coat. And
white coat's important.
Does you have a white coat and come over? I'll teach you. And then the only thing I want is when you open your own clinic, you have to give me a cut. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, why do I have to give this guy a cut?
Because you told me to wear a white coat. You got to give a cut for that.
He helped you teach. He helps you how to fish. He taught you how to fish.
That's right. Right. So as things will have it, I ended up finding an acupuncture school in Austin. So I visited the acupuncture school, did an interview with the president of the school, and I found out that I used to think that anybody can learn acupuncture or that anybody can practice acupuncture, and actually in the state of Texas you have to go to school and get a master's degree, and then you have to pass national exams. And then once you pass the national exams and you get your master's degree, then you can go and apply to the state. And then you pay them a bunch of money, and then they give you a license. So
everybody wants their cut.
Yeah, everybody wants their cut.
So I ended up going to school. I didn't start until 2003. So it took me like almost 5 years to find a place to go and study acupuncture. I finished in 2006. I have always been self-employed, so I had one business, and then I went ahead and opened the clinic and started practicing acupuncture. So I had my clinic over here on Wurzbach and Vance Jackson for a while, and then I moved from one place to another, and I ended up working at the school over here teaching acupuncture because I guess I impressed somebody when I went to school and they remember me and they say, hey, why don't you come back and teach? So I started to teach.
Must have been that white coat.
Yeah, the white coat. By the way, I don't wear a white coat anymore.
I know. I was like, I haven't seen you with a white coat.
I don't want to wear a white coat. I think that the white coat is for you to remember who you are for a while. And after you know who you are and what you do, you don't need the white coat.
Yeah. It's almost like the training wheels, right? Like
it's the training wheels. Like you're the doctor.
Yeah.
No, I know who I am. I know what I can do.
Right.
So those were my beginnings. That's how I started doing acupuncture. But people ask me what's the greatest thing that you have done, and with Chinese medicine and why I believe in it. And at the same time that a little after I graduated in 2009, December of 2009, my mother was diagnosed with lung cancer.
Hey, Chuck, can you turn the music down a little bit?
Oh,
sorry. We'll cut that part out.
And,
all right, you were saying? Sorry about that.
And the doctor told my mom that if she didn't have acupuncture, if she didn't have chemotherapy, she was going to die in 3 months. So my mom started having chemotherapy, and 3 months into it. She started having chemotherapy in January. By March, beginning of April, my mom comes up to me and she goes, "You know what? If that's what I have to do to survive, I'd rather die. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to stop my chemotherapy. And since you say that your medicine is so good, you're going to treat me. And if I die, I die. You know, doctor already said I'm going to die. So,
Wow.
so I just don't want to do that crap anymore." So I said, okay. So I started treating my mom in 2010. And my mom survived until 2014, October of 2014. My mom had a good quality of life. She was able to take care of her garden. She would go out and clean my father's grave every other day. She would go to church. We had to get her a telephone because we couldn't find that lady. She would just go out. She was worried about her, and the thing that I did is that every week I went and I gave her a treatment. Every week I went and gave her a herbs, whatever she needed. I mean, she was having health challenges, but I was taking care of them with the Chinese medicine. And if I did nothing else with acupuncture, that's it. That gives you a level of satisfaction that you cannot imagine. That you can help somebody and give them a quality of life, and she never suffered. The last week that she was alive, her lung closed completely, and she started having troubles breathing. So we ended up going to the hospital, and within a week she died, and she died in her sleep.
Wow.
So, but that's like the power of Chinese medicine.
Right.
And in treating her, I learned about treating kidney disease, because one of the problems that she started having was kidney problems, and her kidneys were failing because of the chemo that they had given her. And that experience was what allowed me to go and get my doctorate, because I got my doctorate with a specialization on kidneys because of the work that I did with my mom.
Right.
So, you know, it was. I'm not gonna say it was sad. Actually, it gave me a lot of comfort that I was able to help her.
Right.
And
Yeah, that's a different type of motivation. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So and I have helped other people. I mean, it makes a big difference when somebody comes over and they tell you, I've had this for 20 years and nobody's been able to help me, and you start working with them. And one of the things that I like about this medicine is that it gives the patient the power. It's not what I'm doing. I'm really not doing all that much to heal. Or what I'm doing is I'm stimulating the body, and the body is going to react, and the healing process is going to begin all by itself. All I do is I'm like the middleman, just pushing.
Yeah, just like the facilitator.
You're the director. You're the body director.
Yeah.
And, and it happens now. You have to have the cooperation of the patient. The patient has to come over. The patient has to have the treatments. The patient has to eat better. The patient has to drink the herbs if I give him some herbs. But there is plenty of people that they get it done. They follow instructions. They want to be healthy. They want to be better. And that's pretty much what I do. It's interesting. I tell my students that when you find something that you love and you do it, it's not work. I'm having fun. When I leave the house in the morning, my wife don't say have a good day. My wife says have fun. So I go and have fun.
That's good. It's all the way you look at it, and I really didn't understand that concept until like more recently. Like I understood it on the surface of the concept, like like of when you find something you enjoy doing, it's like you'll never have to work a day. And I understood it in one way, but like it's kind of like what we do here with this show or with the mountain biking or anything like that, or just kind of raising awareness for the things that I raise awareness for. That I enjoy doing all that, and it never feels like I'm working. When before I could and I'm not even getting paid for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm getting paid
That's
for
it.
it, like kind of in the same thing that you are, like where you get paid. I mean, you get paid, but you also, it's more than that. It's not really about the money. It's more so like seeing your patients, or in this case, your mom. Um, you're able to take her through life in a more comfortable manner than, because chemo is. I mean, I've never read anything that patients were like, "Oh man, I love going to chemo." I'll tell you about chemo, man. You know what I mean? It's always like horror stories, and it it's it's crazy how you have to destroy the, like, in the concept. If you just think about just the basic concept of chemo, you're destroying the bad cells to help the good cells grow, but you're destroying the good cells as well. And it's, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, if I misunderstand that concept, but in the sense of kind of going back to Eastern medicine, Chinese medicine, is yes, in fact, the patient does have a lot of the power, and that's kind of the same thing with everything. And that's the only really true healing that will come from anyone if they actually put forth, if they're ready to change and heal themselves. Because if not, like taking a pill in the general sense of like Western medicine, that doesn't really do anything. Like, I mean, yeah, there is a placebo effect, but if you take a pill and you have like diabetes or whatever your ailment is, and you continue to eat like crap, and you're not working out or moving or anything, doing anything, like that that pill or that treatment or whatever is never going to help you because you're not doing the things to help it. You know what I mean? And I know you know what I mean, but my personal experience with the Chinese medicine, I mean, it kind of first came to the forefront for me on a deployment. Actually, it was the same deployment we're on, dude. I woke up because we had shitty mattress. I mean, luckily we had mattresses at the. I mean, it wasn't the deployment in the traditional sense, but we were away. I mean, this was a Dalfra, and we were doing like force protection. So pretty much watching the TCNs, their country nationals, and but long story short, I was on like recycled mattresses is pretty much what they are, and the springs, like, I feel bad even saying it because I know there's guys on the front, like, they're sleeping on the fucking dirt and stuff or in hose or whatever. And I feel bad complaining, but this is just the reality of what happened to me there and how I kind of came into Chinese medicine. And I woke up one morning, I couldn't get out of bed. Like, my back was seized up, and I was like, I called in to work, and I was like, "Hey man, I gotta go to sick call. I can barely stand up straight." I went in and I saw, I was like, "Hey, my back's jacked up. Can I get some vitamin M?" Which is kind of a joke with us, but Motrin, because that's where
Motrin.
they always get Motrin. It's Motrin for anything. You know, your head could come off, and here's some Motrin. But that's what I was kind of like. I just needed a quick fix so I could keep going. And the doc that was there was like, "Have you ever tried? I don't know what he called it. Now they call it battlefield acupuncture, which is the ear with the
The ear
studs in the
joints.
ear." But at the same time, I didn't know what that was. I knew of acupuncture because um, my in and outs with martial arts growing up, and like Bruce Lee and all kinds of different like movies the influence that kind of brought me into like the awareness of Eastern medicine. Um, and then he offered me, "Hey, have you ever?" I forgot what he called it. He called it something therapy, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not really on taking pills, so yeah, like I'll do it." And he put like gold studs in my ear. I mean the color's irrelevant. I just say that because now I was walking around base, and in the military, not allowed to have any type of earrings or anything, especially if you're a male. And I was walking around base with these damn gold studs, and then they gave me a note, like a doctor's note, like so in case anybody outrank me, like bitch me out, they could be like, "Hey, let me see your note." But so I got like a bunch of dirty looks, like anywhere I went. But long story short, it ended up helping me. My back, like it was still a little sore, but I was able to kind of move around and stuff like that. And that was kind of my first introduction, and then it kind of just weaved in and out of my life. And when I was in Boston, and then when I got out, and then Sandy went back to school for it, and that kind of brought it back into our lives. And it's helped out a lot. I mean, I've gone, and you guys can see that, and I have other content like I still got to put together. I just don't really like forcing videos out because I feel like when it becomes like too task oriented, there's no fun in it. So I kind of like to just let them come out naturally. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do have other videos from like the Crash, especially when I did this. Remember this one? when I went in and I had this big old gash on my arm. Yeah, so like that day I went in, I couldn't eat. This happened on a Friday, and like I crashed on a Friday, got stitches, and I went in on Monday to go see Dr. Guerrero. But because it was at the point like I was like almost getting sick, 'cause I couldn't hold anything down. I was throwing up.
Is
It
that
was just
because
like
it
my
was too
body.
much pain? Because it was too much pain?
No, the way he explained it to me, and he could probably like I'm gonna kind of pitch it to him right now. And so the way he explained it to me was my body like just because you have an injury and it's like your body still receives like your nervous system receives a trauma shock to it. And if you can explain a little bit more how like your nervous system is impacted by a trauma such as something as simple as this, how that affects your body and like what acupuncture does to kind of reset it.
Yeah, well, to begin with, that was not simple.
Oh,
That's a huge catch.
Yeah.
yeah. Maybe I'm just downplaying it because I think Sandy's hearing me. I don't know.
Yeah, but no, what ends up happening is that your body goes into like an emergency what do you call it? Um,
Kind of
no,
like damage repair mode or something, or
yeah,
like.
into repair mode. But see, the thing with the body is that your body is designed to survive. It will survive first and heal second. So what your body was telling you to do was to stop. And just with like with any animal, you start having inflammation, and you'll see a dog or a cat that begins to get sick, and they go to the corner and they don't eat, uh, and maybe
Oh yeah.
they eat some grass, and they just rest and sleep, and they allow their body to begin recuperating. We don't do that. We try to shortcut the system. So what we end up doing is we create a maladaptation. And
Mm.
what I think that's
Did you
happening with
say a mild adaptation?
maladaptation.
Okay, mild adaptation. Okay.
Maladaptation, and you can see maladaptations whenever you have somebody that has an injury like a break. So you break
Mhm.
your arm, and then you have your arm casted, and you carry it like this. When they take the cast off, you can't straighten up your arm. Your arm stays like that, and then you have to have therapy so you can straighten the arm. And a lot of times it doesn't come back the same way. I don't remember. I don't know if it happened to you, but when I was little, my mom would say, "Don't limp like that. If you limp like that, you're gonna stay like that." And
Right. Yeah.
your body will adapt.
My mom would do it, but she would make fun of me. Hey,
To,
Twinkle, walk right.
so,
Sorry, go ahead.
you have some maladaptation. What was happening to you is that your body was trying to stop you,
Uh,
like stop, rest, don't move. And the way to do that is to make you sick, to make you not want to eat,
right.
make you dizzy, to make you, it's like rest, which is a lot of times what happens to a lot of us when you hurt yourself. Your body is trying to stop you. Yeah, the reason that you couldn't move your neck is because the body thinks that there is something wrong with the spine and is going to immobilize it. So your body immobilizes you. But we're not going to get immobilized. We're going to keep moving, and we're going to
Right.
move any old way. And what you end up with is you end up with people with poor biomechanics. And then those poor biomechanics create another injury, which create another injury. And then you have a chronic vicious cycle where you can never get out of this chronic pain that you have, because now it's not only that injury that you had, but it's the maladaptations that your body created in order for you to function.
So it's like a negative chain reaction to multiple injuries. It's like one, like it starts out with your back and then it gets to your knee. It's because you're
I
off
feel like
balance.
I really feel like you guys are in my head because like what he's explaining, that's what it is. Like with me, like it started with my back, and my back was terrible. And when I was stationed in Korea, I got the acupuncture, and then it went from me messing up one knee to auto-correcting it, putting pressure on another knee. Then I blew that knee out. Now I had to so I know exactly what you're speaking about, the maladaptation. Like, it's real, and it's very hard to break.
Yeah, and the other thing is not only happens at the level of the muscles, it happens at the level of the organs. So you start going into digestive problems because whatever bad habits or because that's the only thing that is available. Sometimes, a lot of times, I have to be conscious of with my patients when they come over. They're not necessarily eating what they eat because that's their choice. They eat what they eat because that's all they can afford.
Right.
Ramen soup is cheap. Ramen soup is not good for you.
Right.
No.
But it's cheap.
Yeah, it's like synthetic noodles.
You get those noodles. You get the tuna. You put some butter in it, and it'll satisfy
break an egg in there.
Yeah. But
or maybe even canned fruit.
There you go.
Damn it.
So you eat what you can. The thing that happens though is that your body begins to adapt to whatever you're giving it. So it can be muscular, it can be functional as far as your organs, and then one thing leads to another, that leads to another, leads to another. Then before you know it, you have this chronic problem. And Western medicine is not interested on fixing the problem. Western medicine is interested on giving you something that is going to take care of the symptom, even though they say they don't treat symptoms.
Right, and that's something I kind of like, because I mean, we all have. We've been in Western medicine for a while, and not to knock it at, like, we talked about it. We've had this conversation before in your office, and just saying, like, I feel that there is a place for Western medicine, but it's kind of like when it's already like too late, where it's like invasive. You know what I mean? Like if you have a broken arm, or if you have a problem that's persisted over like years and it's chronic, and now they have to go in because it's too late. I'm not saying that Eastern medicine or Chinese medicine can't reverse that, but the thing is that I find, especially with our culture, Latinos, or just minorities in general, we don't know unless we know of someone that has done it before, and we go off the recommendation, because a lot of it, even before, I'll speak for myself, it was kind of like I was aware of it, but I was like, does it really work? Will it really help me? Can something that simple really help you? But based on my experience, it helps me a lot. And that's why I still go back to you and still get seen. And I feel that for me personally, that Eastern medicine or Chinese medicine will keep you out of getting the bigger problems later on if you do the things that are asked. And then you also got to have a level of accountability too. You can't just be, always expect a quick fix. You know what I mean? You have to do the things that the doctors or yourself, recommend to them. Can't just,
The philosophy of Chinese medicine, actually of alternative medicine, not just Chinese. I mean, you have Ayurvedic, you have other types, Native American medicine. You have all these different types of medicine that are.
So I guess the better thing would be like holistic medicine, like kind of encompass all of them.
Holistic. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And
You're coming in broken.
Hello.
So if you have here,
can you start over? You broke up for like about 20 seconds.
Okay.
Maybe.
Okay. So the focus of the medicine is on not on healing the sick, but rather on maintaining the health. Ideally, if you come to me and I check your pulse, I look at your tongue, I check your body systems, I can figure out that maybe you're not digesting properly right now. If I wait a couple of years, you're gonna have diabetes. But if I take care of your digestive problem today, maybe with an acupuncture treatment or a couple of weeks with herbs, it gets taken care of and you don't have the problem. Same thing happens. Let's say that you're cycling, okay, and you start training and you start doing your cycling, and you come over and I test your muscles and I test the strength of your muscles and the speed of your reflexes, and I find out that maybe your hamstrings are not loose, and your quads are too tight. And for you to speed on a bicycle, your hamstrings has to be relaxed and your quads have to be strong. And that give and take from between those two muscles is what's going to keep you moving correctly and moving fast. If
So
all
what
of,
are go ahead. I'm
if
sorry.
if all of a sudden you have to race, let's say that you're going on a track and you feel like, I don't know, you have a mountain lion coming after you.
Hey, that happens to some people. I've seen videos.
We got him
There was
out here
a,
in Kansas.
there was a guy that choked out a mountain lion. He's a mountain biker, and he's somewhere in Colorado. And he actually a mountain lion like pounced on him, and somehow he ended up choking this thing out, and he ended up like running away. Yeah, and another guy stabbed one. But anyway, sorry. Go ahead, mountain lion.
Yeah, well, if all of a sudden you have to take off very quick, okay? Your adrenaline shoots and you begin to take off, and that muscle was not optimally relaxed, you're gonna tear it. So all of a sudden you do something and you have a muscle tear of something that you were doing regularly, and the
Yeah.
reason is because you have maladapted for some reason, and you could check. I mean, we do it to our cars. You know, you have a car and you check, you make sure the car is tuned up, and you check the tires and you check the oil. But we don't do that to ourselves. We don't check ourselves and see, you know, yes, I'm doing this activity. Are my muscles flexible? Are my muscles strong? Do I have a weak link on these muscles? Which one is the one that is off?
And normally people don't do it until something goes wrong.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then they go everywhere else. And after years of not being able to take care of it, then they'll come to me and they go, "Can you help me? I had this problem for 10 years." And I'm going like, well, shoot, everybody already messed with it. And now I'm going to try to fix it. So given that, you know, we have a pretty good track record for helping people that, you know, they have gone through all these things and they come, by the time they come pretty damaged. So it's good, but it would be ideal if people were taking care of themselves and doing preventive stuff. Then you will never get sick. You will never have the injury. You will, and the idea is that you live longer. You know, Chinese medicine believes that you have the ability to live a very long time. The reason that we don't is because we abuse our bodies. And when you abuse your body is going to heal somehow, but it's going to use energy that it didn't have to use. And that energy is life. So it's like putting money in the bank. You know, you put in money in the bank so when you're old, you can pull it out. And we keep spending it on doing crap, you know.
Right. And when you say that's not, so people don't like misinterpret that as like you need to play like your life safe, like don't do like crazy things, but you mean it more so in the sense of like putting the right fuel in your body in the form of food or what you drink, and like keeping any type of vices in moderation, if you will.
Yeah, but moderation is the name of the game, and you know I'm guilty of the same thing. I mean, I have a torn pec, I have a torn bicep, I have a bad back, I have a bad leg, and I have messed myself up doing stuff.
Right.
There is a price to pay for anything that you do. But if you are aware of what you're doing and can prevent it, well, prevent it. Every one of the injuries that I have is because I did some crap the day before and I didn't take care of myself. I didn't sleep. I didn't eat right. Maybe I exercised too much. I did something in excess. And then I went and did whatever else and boom, I got the injury. When I tore my pec, I just, you know, I didn't want to warm up. I had to go someplace else afterwards. And I said, you know, I'm going to start just pushing the weights. And I just started throwing the weights on. And all of a sudden it goes, right.
That'll teach them.
That'll teach them, yeah.
Yeah.
But you tell the young kids that, and they go, whatever, you're an old guy. That's why it happened to you.
Right.
But
No, that's not the case at all. Because stretching is one of those things I need to do more of, and I'm sure we all do. But more specifically, me, I need to stretch more. I need to start like doing like yoga and stuff. Just because the older you get, like your muscles aren't as elast. They're not as you're not as flexible as you once were, and maybe that's a misconception. Maybe that like through yoga or any type of exercise or stretching exercises or anything like calisthenics or what have you, you could lengthen those muscles and have more longevity. So maybe that's like I'm probably talking myself out of that point right now. Sorry, I
I'm
argue with
picking.
myself
I know, but
sometimes.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. Like, I mean, if you are stretching quite often, it's not just making them, more elastic, have more elasticity in them, but it also like strengthens them too. And your body's used to being stretched to those limits.
yeah,
So when you
Right.
hit those limits at times, it's not a shock to your body and it's used to it, and you have more of a chance to get injured. Like that, that's my perspective on it.
well,
Like
yeah. I
that's
mean, you don't have to go too far. Most older men, well, no, not anymore, because now the the lawnmowers now, that you start them with a
Oh,
button,
that push,
and
yeah,
when
the push
you
start.
pull them like this, uh,
yeah.
you you will tear your bicep.
Is that how you turn your bicep?
So, no, no, I tore my bicep. I tore my bicep on a tournament, but
Oh.
they
I
did.
tore my bicep one time.
No, it was one of those things. But
Yeah, that's a whole nother element. That's a whole nother. Okay. So, like, speaking of
usually a
like,
muscle that is too
go ahead.
short at the time, so you don't lose the strength. I don't know if you have ever seen those videos on YouTube of the old man that is going on the bus and somebody's bugging him. He turns around and he just swings like that and knocks the
Right.
guy out. The reason that he knocked it out is because he's so stiff. It's like they hit you with a baseball bat.
Uh,
Uh, that's why. It's not that the guy was strong, but at the same time, you make that guy move suddenly, and he's gonna tear out. He's gonna tear something up.
right.
You lose your strength, you lose your flexibility. So
Mm.
ideally, you will do your flexibility exercises before you go to bed. Do
I'm
whatever.
starting to. I'm starting to hear like a theme here, like, and a lot of it's just like whether it's like cycling, like your quads and have to be strong, and your hamstrings have to be uh, equally fluid, I guess, or have be a little like not loose, but they just have to be the opposite to support one or the other. And then like with this, like I just keep hearing like the common theme, the word balance within everything.
Yeah.
Um, even with your body moving forward or backwards, or like you have to, what is it, concentrating exercise and the exercise.
Oh, right.
I'm
Concentric.
jacking it.
Yeah.
So
Concentric and
go.
eccentric. Yeah.
What was
Your
that?
muscles, concentric and eccentric.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
concentric is coming in, eccentric is going out.
Yeah. That's why we have expert here, because you lean on me. We're gonna be here all day. Like
Oh,
I'm gonna
please
make.
believe I'm taking notes over here. I'm
Yeah,
writing
I'm gonna.
down. Like,
I'll jack it up all day.
You're
Hey, he's gonna charge us for the session.
your
hey, that's all right. It's well worth it.
your muscles are the strongest that when they lengthen fully. I don't know if you have ever gone to the gym and you see those guys doing biceps and they're like right here, just
Right.
real short.
Mhm.
They're not very strong on the bicep. The bicep has to go all the way from full
Right.
stretch to full contraction. I mean, think about it. If you were going to push a car, do you just begin pushing the car like this? Or do you do this to push the car? You stretch. And then
Fully extended, yeah.
your full extension to full contraction. That's what we're supposed to do. When you do a repetitive motion like cycling, like running, like martial arts, anything else, we shorten the movement. And the more stress you have, the more shortened the movement it is. Um, you know,
Yeah,
even with
I remember Bruce Lee used to. Yeah, or that. Yeah, that might cause another injury though if you go too far.
Hey, but those are long movements. Those aren't short movements, okay?
Yeah. Go too far, you're gonna rip it. You're gonna rip it off.
Yeah.
Have to use the needles. Put it back.
Yeah. I might need an acupuncture session, doc.
So, like, what are some of the more common things you see with cyclists as far as injuries? Like, maybe you had like a top five, or like what are the common things? Because I remember we talked one time and you said you had a cyclist that came in and they were going cross country, and then they called you guys like, hey, and they were like picking points along the United States, I guess 10 or whatever, to try to see um, Chinese doctors, pretty much.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, who's, like, not necessarily who the person was, but like what they were doing and how you helped them. And then like maybe you could think of the common injuries.
But they were doing it. It wasn't her. She was doing it, and she was going across, from California to Florida on a bike. And she was stopping every so often, and she would look for practitioners of Chinese medicine, acupuncturists. And she wanted to make sure that pretty much what they did is they relaxed her quads and they strengthened her hamstrings. Because of the position of the bike, your quads are always in contraction. You never fully straighten your leg, and your hams are always moving, so they tend to be more relaxed, more loose. So what
Okay.
you do with them is you have to loosen up their quads and you have to tighten up their hams.
Okay. And how would you do that? Just
Well, see, that's the thing about acupuncture. You go for the motor points. Every muscle has a motor point there, and motor points are places where actually nerves are coming out. So you have the muscle right here, and there'll be a spot where there is a nerve sticking out this way.
okay.
We know where those places are. So when we put the needle, what you feel like an electrical charge going through your arm or through
Oh
your,
yeah, I felt those before.
okay.
Yeah.
Uh, but that makes the muscle. If you think about motor points are like a garage door opener. If
Okay.
the muscle is tight, it'll loosen it up. If the muscle is loose, it'll tighten it up. It'll do the opposite of whatever the muscle is.
Okay.
The second thing that you need to do is you need to put needles on the back that correspond to the section that the nerves are coming out of. Because a lot of times the movements that you are having are learned movements, and they're in your in your neurology. Your
Oh,
nerves
okay.
have a pathway and a certain way of moving. And that's why when somebody has a stroke, they lose that pathway, and then you have to learn how to walk again. You have to learn how to talk again because you lose that pathway. Now, if I'm relaxing the muscles on the back of your leg, or strengthening the muscles on the back of your leg, I have to take the points that correspond to that area on your back. And what that's going to do is going to reset the pathway, so the muscle is going to still relax or tighten up the way I want it, because I did something over here and reset the nerve pathway. Um, and and that allows you, one, not to have bad biomechanics, and two, in her case, she was trying to recuperate as fast as possible. So when she took the day to sleep, or whatever she did, then she could get back on her bike and continue with her track. Um, but that's, it's for every sport. I mean, we saw it with that guy, the
Oh,
Michael
Michael Phelps.
Phelps. They were
Yeah.
doing the back. They were doing the capping on his back.
It's
In
funny you
between,
say that because I was about to bring that in, because when you did cupping before I did that enduro race, I placed second in my class,
yeah.
but I think I had to do something with the cupping. But yeah, but I felt pretty good that day. Other than just kind of the basic nerves, I felt like physically like capable of doing whatever. I mean, and I didn't really get as tired as I thought I would. Granted, I did sleep the night before. I did eat well the night before, so I try to do those things to kind of get me ready for it. Because I find like with any type of racing, like when you get tired is when usually, especially mountain biking, the more tired I get or people get, that's when the crashes occur. That's
Yeah.
when the injuries occur, and that's usually like if I start feeling like tired to the point where I can't breathe or anything, I'll like take a break. I'll stop because that's usually what I had the bad injuries, especially like this one right here.
Yeah.
Mm.
So like, what are some other so going back to Michael Phelps, you were talking about the cupping. Like, how is cupping different from acupuncture? Like in the way of, I know it's like a different tool, but how does it, like, I know acupuncture, the way I picture acupuncture, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that like it's almost like you're pushing a reset button on the body's nervous system in that particular point for that specific injury, whatever the injury is. And then cupping is more so like for the fascia, right? To break up the fascia.
Capping break the fascia, but you had capping before. You know that wherever they put the caps, you end up with a bruise.
That's true.
So when you bring blood to the surface, and actually they have done some research on this, it's actually like blood doping.
You said
You're
blood doping?
doping. You're,
Okay.
you're going to take the blood. You're gonna
They're
bring
gonna
it.
take away my medal.
They're
Uh
gonna take
oh.
it.
Uh oh. Test them.
Get him! Get him! No, I'm just joking.
You bring in the blood to the surface, and that blood, one, your body has to replace it within your body, and two, that blood has to be reabsorbed. So you have bilirubin and biliverdin that are being broken down at the level of the skin, and the body begins to reabsorb it. And when the body reabsorbs that, it actually gives you more oxygen capacity,
Oh, okay.
and it has a oxidative, antioxidative response. So I don't know if you have ever seen capping is one. The other one is we call it washa, and what we do is we take, and I think you've seen it on YouTube. They take a coin and they scratch your back.
Mm-hmm.
And all you see is bruises.
Right.
By the time they finish with your back is all bruised up. The whole idea of that thing is the same as of creating this excess of blood on the skin so the body can reabsorb it. And reabsorbing your own nutrients actually creates an extra in your ability to absorb oxygen, carry
Okay.
carry oxygen. So
Wow.
that's why I said it's like blood doping. It gives you, I don't know. It's not coming from the outside. It's coming from your own body. So that should be
Right.
good. Yeah.
So the way I think about that is just kind of like, and so the blood rises to the top of the skin,
Yeah.
and then it almost like it's closer to absorb the oxygen that's in our immediate environment, and then the body reabsorbs it. Am I making stuff up, or is that kind of how the because I'm just trying to explain it how I see in my mind how it works. Like,
My
and then the
mind
body
is
reabsorbs it with more oxygen.
my mind is going with, because okay, say if you were bleeding, your body's going to replenish the blood that's leaving your body. So when the suction comes up, it's like kind of tricking your body. It's like you're losing this blood, but
Yeah.
you're actually not losing the blood. And when the cups come out, it's by the time some of the blood is, or cells are being rejuvenated, and you're just adding more, so your body like has extra protection.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, got it. I'm tracking.
It gets a
He gets
little
a
more
gold star.
complicated, but it's that's the general idea. You're
Okay.
you're pulling
Okay.
out, and that blood that you pulled out has to be replaced.
Yep.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
then your body is going to reabsorb the blood that is now at the level of the skin. And if you remember what the components of the blood of the hemoglobin, you have this bilirubin, and the bilirubin is what absorbs the gives color to the uh, red blood cells, and also absorbs oxygen. So is that reabsorbing of that chemical that is going to give you that antioxidant effect.
Okay. Nice. So
Just
we've been talking.
just dropping jewels, just
Yeah, just
all
dropping.
episode.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to figure out how to get some some like horns. You know what I'm saying?
I'll figure it out.
Some
I'll figure it out.
explosions.
Yeah, I'll throw something. Mind blown. I'll put like a little effect when my head's blowing up. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate this information. Like I really am taking stuff down. Like, and I'm gonna, turn it and use it in my everyday life.
right.
Yeah, I mean,
So
it's
go
good
ahead.
stuff. It's stuff that, and the thing is that it's not new. It's been around for thousands of years, and people were trying. I once I made the mistake of, well, it wasn't a mistake. It was just arrogant of me to ask one of my teachers, how come these Chinese people were so smart that they could figure out all these things to do to keep the body healthy? And he laughed and he goes, well, they weren't smart. They was really poor. And when you're really poor, you have to figure out what to do with what you have.
Yeah, yeah. Poor, like being poor, like you have to be resourceful and figure
So,
out some stuff.
Absolutely.
so they were trying to keep themselves healthy because there's no doctors, there is no medicine, there is nothing. And if you're going to get really, really sick over there, you might die. So the
Right,
idea is just don't get sick. And they were doing
right,
these things to keep themselves from getting sick. And a lot of this Chinese medicine is experience. Some people say, well, it's not scientific. And you don't have to be scientific. If you take something and you drop it, gravity is going to take over. And I don't have to prove it.
right,
I don't have to show science behind it. And the same thing
right,
with a lot of these things. They have done it for years and years and years, thousands of years. And
right.
it works, and that's the way it works.
But yeah, but there are people that I mean, there are articles and stuff that do show a correlation with like show the science to the Chinese medicine now that validated, which is why like the VA more specifically has been like on a 10-year study and they implemented something called whole health, which is I'm a recipient of, but they started including like and it's not just Chinese medicine, but like you talked about earlier, like all these different modalities such as Tai Chi, such as meditation, acupuncture, acupressure. The list. I mean, this is a pretty exorbitant list. With where that wasn't the case,
Yeah.
like 2-3 years ago, at least in my experience with it.
Yeah.
So I mean, they are starting to recognize that. About time. I mean, that's kind of when I went into my first whole health appointment. That's kind of what I told. Like, what do you guys think about this? And then I wasn't trying to be an a-hole or nothing. I was just like, it's about damn time. You know what I mean? Like this has been around a while, and if you're really trying to find the cure and the source to actually help people, you want to consider all things and try the all things. Not to say like as long as it's not bringing pain or discomfort to the patient, but you want to try to find all these different things. And obviously, if a country's been doing it for a long time, politics aside, that people are able to do that and looked for the source of healing, then why not do that? Why not try to go down these paths? I'm not saying nobody has, but it's surprising to me why it took so long for it to come into a system like the VA when we have so many. I mean, we can go to conspiracy theory with it, but I won't go down there. We won't have enough time on this show.
Yeah. I would just say that it's because the holistic is more self-sufficient as opposed to the westernized. It's more dependent, and that's monetary. If you teach people how to treat themselves and how to fix themselves, there's no money in that. So I can kind of see how it's been kind of suppressed.
Right. Yeah, and I do agree with that, and that kind of opens up a whole different. We might have to have an episode 2. I mean, like a follow up on that.
Episode 7.5.
Episode 7.5. We follow the trail of the money.
Yes.
But I know you have another appointment here coming up soon, so we could start to wrap it up here in a little bit. But just kind of give me a cue of when you have to go, and then we could kind of start balling or wrapping that up, Dr. Guerrero. But
I have a question for you. All medicine aside, but with the whole background of you said the first black belt. So how many black belts do you have? Like different levels?
Yeah, you have degrees. You have first degree, second degree, third degree, fourth degree. They're actually 10 degrees.
before you're a master, right?
Well, no, master is at 5, so I already got that one.
Ooh, we're talking to a
Oh,
master.
okay, master.
Master Guerrero.
Master. All right.
Yeah,
That's nice.
that's a 5th degree.
Uh,
But then you have, you have the master of the master, so you keep going. What happens with martial arts is that if you are going to practice everything that you learn all by yourself, you can't. It's too much. So what you have to do is you have to start teaching. When you begin to teach, you're going to review everything that you have learned, and then you can learn a little bit more. Because every time I teach somebody that is a different size of me, somebody taller, somebody shorter, somebody heavier, somebody skinnier, I have to modify my technique so I can make it effective for them.
okay.
Every time I do that, I learn. So I keep learning because I'm teaching. So if you're a martial artist and you're trying to learn the most that you can, you need to go and become a master, because that way you keep evolving because you're teaching and you're learning at the same time. I have I have learned so much from white belts, people that don't know anything about martial arts. Uh, they're just difficult. They're big or they're short, or you can't do the technique the way you're supposed to do the technique. So you have to modify and you learn. Um, but yeah, they're different. They're different degrees. So you have the black belt, and then you start having second degree is another black belt, third degree is another black belt, fourth degree, fifth degree. So yeah,
Okay.
that's that work. But
Yeah, you said that, but you was leading us down a great path. I just didn't want to stop you, but I had to put a pin in it and had to come back and just wanted to know,
Hey,
like,
that's a good question. That's a good question.
yeah,
yeah, yeah. But that's you get to a certain point, which is what I try to explain to my students on acupuncture, because they start looking at different things, and it's just like with martial arts. If you start studying martial arts, what happens a lot of times is you get your first black belt, and then you want to go and start studying jiu-jitsu, and then you want to add boxing, and you want to add something else. And I usually tell them, no, wait, get your second degree, because by the time you get your second degree, you get your bases really, really strong. And once you have your bases really strong, then you can begin to try other martial arts. At the end, you get to the fifth, the sixth degree. All of a sudden, everything around you that is a fighting art is familiar to you. You're just looking at it from another perspective. You have Korean martial arts, Japanese martial arts, Hindu
Brazilian.
Chinese,
Brazilian
Kung
martial art.
Fu.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
I mean, we have 2 arms and 2 legs. Bruce Lee said it. 2 arms and 2 legs. I mean, how many ways can you hit?
Right.
Yeah.
So you do that, and then all you're really doing is you're looking at how you're moving, and it comes down to strategy. What is it that you're going to do? Is this the martial arts where, like Aikido, I'm gonna make you hit me first so I can grab you, use your strength against you, or I'm going to be more aggressive, and like on the jiu-jitsu, I'm going to go after you and just overpower you with my technique.
Right.
Or boxing is really interesting because boxing comes actually, it's a combination of um, traditional boxing, which is coming from Europe,
Hmm.
and then you have the boxing that we practice today that is part of the Filipino culture. In the Filipino culture, they use a lot of knives. So usually boxing was over here, on the Filipinos right here, because I have the knife. So
Right.
to move you and stab you at the same time. So you can see how you have the jab and the hook, especially if you have a knife.
Right.
You have some knife fighting right there. So it gets
I,
it gets it gets interesting.
I wonder how good of a knife fighter Manny Pacquiao is.
So he probably be pretty good.
Yeah, he's pretty quick, dude, even
Yeah,
at his
he's
age.
very, yeah, he's very quick.
I don't
Because
know where he finds the time either, because he was selected for like a congressman or senator of Philippines or president. I don't know what he is right now, and he still boxes and he still trains.
yeah,
And he's got a family. I'm like,
Assistants.
damn, man.
He has assistants. He has a lot of assistants.
Yeah, because
You're that he find a time machine.
when you see a knife fighter that knows how to fight, he's gonna catch you. He's gonna catch your arms first, and then he's gonna move in and cut your body. He doesn't go for the body right away,
Because
which is the actor does.
yeah, he's trying to knock down. He's trying to cut away your defense, pretty much.
Defense, so he can move in. So and it's all speed. It's speed. You have to move in, move in, move out, and cut, move in, move out. But anyway, that's
all right.
Yeah. So no, that's all good information. I think we're gonna have to have another one, and when you have more time. What time do you have to break away at? Is it like here in the next 10, 20 minutes?
In the next 5 minutes or so.
Okay. Okay.
For me.
Okay. Well, we'll start wrapping up here in a little bit. Do you have any follow-up questions for Dr. Guerrero, or?
I was actually, it really wasn't a question, but I just was curious. I guess it is a question. What are the advantages from stretching before you go to sleep as opposed to stretching right before you get up to start your day?
Well, to begin with, is before you go to sleep, you're warm from the day. So all your day, you've been moving. So now you're going to stretch, and when you stretch, you're actually going to help your muscles detoxify, increase circulation. So when you go to sleep, your muscles release all the lactic acid and everything else that you have. Now, stretching when you get up is not necessarily advisable. What you need to do is you need to mobilize, which is totally different. If I'm going to stretch, I'm going to take my muscles and I'm going to try to stretch them and give them the maximum stretch that I can. But if I get up in the morning and I'm going to begin to move, then what I want to do is I want to mobilize it. So I want to make sure that I move through the whole range of motion, and that's not stretching. Actually, stretching before an activity is counterproductive, because if you stretch before you go for a run or for a cycling, all your muscles are going to be relaxed. And there has to be a balance between relax and tense that you have to keep. So what you're interested in is mobilization. So you get up in the morning and you do some mobilization. There is in Chinese we have these things called Dabu Yin, and Dabu Yin are not stretching. They're mobilization exercises. There's like 5 different exercises.
Is that like Qigong?
That's Qigong.
Qigong. Okay.
Which is totally different than stretching. When you stretch, you're trying to stretch. You're trying to get as long as you can, get the muscle as long as possible. When you're doing these moves, as you're moving and you're trying to reach full range of motion. So if your arm is only moving up to right here, by the time you finish it, you move all the way back. And that's not stretching, that's mobilization. So mobilization is one thing, stretching is another one. So ideally, you stretch to stretch the muscle to its maximum at night. In the morning, when you get up, you mobilize. You wanna have full range of motion, but nothing is tight. So if you move your arm, you don't feel the pull on the chest. That's just mobilize.
Okay.
Nice.
And that's what I tell. That's what I tell my people. And sometimes.
That was another.
Hey, we don't need sound effects. You got it right there.
Yeah. Okay.
With martial artists, that's what happens to them. They stretch before they train, and that's why they tear their muscles when they kick. Because you have to have some control on that kick. Your kick is only going to be as fast as you can pull it back.
Yeah. I remember, I don't know, we could say this for next show, but I used to practice martial arts. I don't have any belts or anything, but I kind of dabbled in a lot of them, especially as a kid growing up. But I remember working on side kicks or anything like that. And when you bring it back, sometimes your hamstring wants to kind of just seize up.
Yeah.
You're just trying to bring it back quick because you can't leave it out there because they can grab it, you're sparring. But hey, so what are some ways that people can contact you? Firstly, if you guys are interested and you guys are in the San Antonio area, You could check out his office. He's located off of Hildebrand and I-10. I'll put some information in here so you guys could click the link, especially in the comments below. But what are some ways or some things, some takeaways that you would like to leave for anybody listening to try to contact you or go visit your office or what have you, or dispel any type of negative disbeliefs that people might have prior to seeing
Well,
you?
we offer a free consultation, so you can come and talk to me for 15 minutes, and I'll answer your questions and see and tell you truly whether or not I can help you. I don't claim to be able to do everything, and there's some cases where Western medicine has messed it up so bad that there's nothing else that you can do. Uh,
Right.
but if I can help, I'll look at you, I'll talk to you, I'll ask you some questions, and if I can help, I'll let you know. And if I can't, then I can probably refer you to somebody that I think they can. There are options. We always have options. But yeah, the free consultation is, I think, is the best way to go and find out what you need.
I think he's getting the cue. Dr. Guerrero is a busy man, so we really appreciate you having us, taking the time and joining us for this. I definitely want to have a follow up, and we're probably going to chew on some of the things you said, and then have more questions for you in the future. But it was a good time, and we learned quite a bit, and I'm pretty sure our audience was appreciate it. I mean, the big thing is the big thing is trying to kind of spread awareness and provide people other options and put the tools really back within their power, really. But thank you for your time. And if there's any parting thoughts, I appreciate it. And
I'm
we'll talk
I'm
more later.
appreciative too. Nice to meet you virtually. Enjoy the rest of your
Yes.
day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Be safe out there.
We'll be back.
We'll be back.
We'll be
Stay
back.
tuned.
He's just bountiful, full of information. Just
Yeah,
bountiful.
he is, and that's why I thought he would be really good for the show, or for the podcast, because I've had conversations with him in his office, and he's willing to kind of break through those. When I try to have conversations with doctors before, you could tell that they're kind of constricted by whatever, I don't know, whatever the populace is saying, and you try to ask them a question about just anything. Like, I don't know, like one time I was at the VA and I asked about like what the VA thought about cannabis or what have you, and like if they were looking at trials, because I read articles about, because I'm looking for something more holistic. But
Yeah.
they was just like real quick, like, well, we don't there's a canned statement, we don't recognize that, and we cannot discuss it.
Yeah, I've asked
Okay.
before, and because I'm in Kansas, and it was like, well, it's illegal in Kansas, and that's
Right.
that's all they gave me was, well, it's illegal in
Right.
Kansas. So
And then and not even just with the VA, they're also like just, regular physicians, like, PCMs or anybody you ask them, just, and it doesn't have to be about that subject, but if it's something that they're not comfortable with discussing, they'll kind of, they'll cut it off. But with him, he's willing to have an open dialogue discussion. And I really appreciated how he said at the end, I may not be able to help you, because I appreciate that honesty, because
yeah,
you know what I mean?
he wasn't like,
Um,
yep, come to me, I got you. He was just like, hey, I'll try. I don't know what you've been
yeah,
through or what, but hey,
yeah, and it all. Go ahead.
no. He was like, I'm gonna try. Even when, I mean, because most doctors, do they give free consultations? I think that's pretty cool.
Some do, but I mean, I can't really say yes or no, but I'm pretty sure some do. They'll probably offer a free consultation. It's kind of like you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's more important that he does it, because this could be a new thing for a lot of people that are like in America in general. I don't want to say everyone, but a good amount of the populace probably doesn't have Chinese medicine in their specific, like their area where they live. And that's another thing. Just, I was going to bring this up, but we started running short on time. Is I've I've heard through him, as well as other like news articles I've read, with all this COVID stuff going on and everything, that Chinese Americans, or like, I mean, they look Chinese, but, or just Asian descent in general, are being like pretty much terrorized because of ignorant people. they kind of see them and they're just like, they think they are COVID. You know what I mean? And I understand
Yeah.
that there's a fear factor going on there, and I can understand that, but I
That's
don't agree with it.
at that point, that's just ignorance. That's not no fear factor. That's just ignorance at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Just discriminating just because, okay, it might have started there. Who knows where it started? Okay,
right,
that's where we were forced to really see it was there. It was really bad there. We heard about Italy, but it wasn't that many visuals as it was in China. I don't, or at least I didn't see that.
right.
So that's
I mean,
the negativity of China. We didn't even look at Italy as negative, and it's terrible over there.
right, and that's why I kind of like earlier in the show, I was like, people, if people can separate the political biases that they have, and like, oh, like everything over there is bad, you know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, like you do that with everything, then we're gonna be left with shit, you know what I mean? Because Western medicine originated in Greece. I mean, not to say that a lot of Americans hate Greece or whatever, but my
Mm-hmm.
point is that it didn't originate here. Um, and it's just like when anything else, it evolves and people add to it and take from it, and you know. But if somebody's in need to try to fix an ailment they've had for a while, or a sickness that they have, or anything like that, then why not try it? You know, it's not invasive like most Western medicine. It doesn't really, if they give you any type of prescription, it's not the traditional prescriptions you would get like Motrin or Vicodin or anything like that. It's more so like herbs, like natural herbs. Like, so
And
you
that,
have
and
like
that
muscle pain. Go ahead.
that goes back to how much does a herb cost as opposed to getting a prescription that
Right,
you got to go to the pharmacy and pay them that has paid. It's just a whole domino effect. So I
right,
mean, hey, I'm with you, but that's the underlining thing.
right,
It doesn't make any money to tell someone here take these seeds and plant them, as
right,
opposed to pay for this medicine after you go to the pharmacy to pay them for this service. So it's a whole domino effect. Everything's all
right,
connected to
right.
it.
And I think the goal should be of any physician is not to see their patients anymore. Like that should be the goal. Is not to say like I don't want to see you no more. It's just like you want to get your patient to the point where you don't have to, like, you want them to be healthy, you know what I mean, and you want them to not ever have to come back. That should be the overall goal. But most stories that I hear, and I'm not just bashing Western medicine, but it's kind of got to the point where it's just a it's just another way to make money. And I'm not saying all caretakers are like this. I'm sure there's some good doctors out there. I'm sure there's some good nurses out there. But the reality is that, when corporations kind of take over hospitals and what have you, they do look at metrics. They look at how much money it's a business. What
At the end
business
of the day,
isn't
at the end of the day, it's a
trying to make
business.
money? Right. At the end of the day, it's a business and they're trying to make money. I remember being forced out of hospitals, and I remember being like trying to be kept there longer than I should have, like in different situations. Um, and it's that's what it boils down to. And I've had plenty of friends tell me that they've gone to doctor visits, and they're like, let's say they go for their knee, right? Hey, my knee's acting up. All right, yeah, we'll see you. And then they're like, hey, it just occurred to me, it's happened to all of us. My knee's hurting, but I recall like my elbow's hurting too. This is just for an example. And they're like, well, you have to schedule another appointment for that. The doctor can't see you for that. I'm like, what kind of bullshit is that? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if it
In
were
your
me,
mind,
in my
in
mind,
your
it's like it's efficient. Like, oh yeah, let's look at that real quick. Let's ask you a few questions. You know what I mean? Like
but
that's
in the
bull. I
mind
mean,
of the business, okay, he's coming in here for his knee. All right, that should take about 20 minutes. So I can schedule someone 25 minutes right after them that has a nose problem. I can't look at his knee and his elbow because it's gonna run over my schedule and I gotta get home, or tea time starts at 3 o'clock. So,
right,
that's the whole mentality. As unfortunate as it is,
right,
that's the way of the world.
right. Yeah, and I understand it, but at the same time, when the overall goal is supposed to be the patient, and the patient like making them not ill or in pain, and you lose sight of that. Maybe I sound like a purist, but at the very basis of medicine, that's what it is, to make people feel better and to help them help themselves so they don't have to come back in. But we kind of got into this revolving door of patients because you know what, money, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching,
Insurance companies, all that one hand washes
Yeah.
the other.
I'm saying we could probably have another whole show on this, but I mean, it was great having him on. It was I know his like he has a heavy accent. He's originally from Mexico. He is a citizen here. I mean, I don't even have to say that. It shouldn't even fucking matter because he gave us like good information. He's a good guy. I've been seeing him for about a year now, and some of the things we didn't even get into, like some of the side things that I go for is like some of my other things like mental. I don't say mental disorders. I've been trying to find a word for that because it just seems like I think it's just part of the human body. Like when you're off balance, your mind's off balance. You're whether it's a trauma or a physical or mental trauma that you've experienced or what have you, your body's off balance. And the Chinese medicine, at least in my experience, I've gone in for that as well. I wake up in the past like 3 days in a row, depression or whatever. I'll go in, get seen, and then like it's almost like immediate that I feel better after, because I've gone in like, dude, I just feel like dog shit. You know what I mean? Like just hot and mushy. You know what I mean? And yeah, hot and mushy and smelly. But I've gone in and then like soon after like. And for those of you guys, whether you're a veteran or not, if you're going to go to get seen, you could ask them, like if you have problems sitting still, which I do, is just sitting still. And there's an actual point that they put a needle right here, right in your forehead. As soon as they do that, actually on the video on my YouTube channel, that video I have with Dr. Guerrero, he puts one right here. And like right after that, dude, I'm like, I was trying to go to sleep, dude. I was like, relax, you know? But like after I left, man, I feel, and it's weird because every time I leave, I'm like immediately hungry after that. Like I'm just like
a calming feeling. Hey,
right.
Food makes me calm, so
yeah. And then
I could see that.
Not only that, like the time almost seems like to fly by quicker when I'm there. Like I'm there for like an hour session, and it's like I get in there, and it's like right away we start talking, and I tell him what's going on, or I let him know beforehand, and then I show up, and then he does his thing, and then I'm like, it takes him like, depending on what he's doing, it usually takes about 5 to 10, 15 minutes to do the needles or cupping or whatever he's doing, and then he just leaves me there for like the rest of the time. He puts some music on, dims the lights, you know, and
yeah, I've done the acupuncture. It's soothing. It's a whole experience. Might have dim lights or Oh, I think I'm running out of juice on my phone. I'm about to die.
Okay, well, I'll wrap it up real quick. But pretty much it's a calming, relaxing atmosphere. I'm just trying to paint a picture for those who have never done it before. But you picture like a spa and like a doctor's office and mixed in one. But it's very beneficial. I've turned on a lot of close friends to it, and they have nothing but good things to say about it. But if you're curious or anything, let me know, and maybe we can dive deeper into it on another episode and have him back on and ping me with questions I can ask him. But yeah, J Chugg, thanks for your time as well. And
appreciate you, man. Appreciate you all this information. You know, like I've done it, but I don't know. I'm not too familiar with it. So, you know, this just put me, you know, a little bit further where I need to be of healing myself sometimes.
Yeah, man, that's what it's all about. It's just getting that information out of people and having them make the right decision based off the information that they get. If they don't have the information and they just have one person telling them something, they ain't gonna, like, that's all they're gonna know. So our goal is just to kind of have fun and give information and talk about whatever that can help us, you know, going forward.
That's the goal. We're not holding the information in. We're sharing it with everybody.
Man. We're sharing it. We're getting different perspectives on here, and that's what it's all about, man. And we'll tie in my own biking, but the biggest thing is just kind of like the whole person concept, if you will, like for each individual person to decide for themselves. But hey, man, episode 7 in the books.
In the books.
We'll try to see if we can get another guest on next episode. With everything going on right now with COVID, it's kind of hard to get people with both our personal lives as well as other people's schedules situated, especially like people that are considered mission essential, as Chugg is and as Dr. Guerrero. Yeah, thank you for your time, and appreciate you hanging out with us for this episode. And out.
Keep rocking in the free world.
There you go, man. All right, you guys have a good one. Talk to you later. All right, man.
Deuces.
I don't know how to stop this. I can cut this part out. How much?